Waste Magic is a patented recycling technology that converts all mixed waste streams into carbon black and distilled water. It's a very simple process, and we use standardized autoclaves, pressure vessels, reactors, all similar names for pretty much the exact same thing. Waste gets loaded into the vessel. In the environment of heat and pressure, 500 degrees Celsius and 10 bar of pressure, our proprietary catalyst cracks the atomic bond in molecules to carbonize everything contained within. The total time takes about 2 hours, although our new design will be about an hour and a half. The secret is the catalyst. It's a unreplicatable formula comprised of many key ingredients. Each one of them, there's a chemical reaction that happens. It's also liquid soluble, and we spray it into the machine to do the carbonization process. We are protected by an international patent, and there is an entirely new patent that's about to be filed at the moment. As our previous one, we're letting that go because we've got enough material changes in the new one. So that'll give us another 20 years. We produce 97.3% pure carbon black, which is a very valuable commodity worth at least $1,000 a tonne into a $30 billion market. We process almost any type of waste you can think of. In Australian terms, that's everything from your red bin, half the stuff from the yellow bin, everything from the green bin, and everything from the blue bin. Tyres, medical waste, organic waste, we can all process simultaneously at the same time. So basically everything except for metal, glass and concrete we have an effect on. There's over 50 billion tonnes of waste sitting and rotting at landfills all over the world, and that's increasing by 2 billion tonnes every year. What are governments doing about it? Because it's a #1 priority for almost every government around the planet. What they're doing is what we call phase 2, which is incineration, waste to energy plants, tens of billions of dollars across most major countries all over the world. This is where they're deploying their capital to target the problem. We are the phase 3, which is a far more scalable solution. Comparing to our competition, we win on every single aspect, right? The only real competitor that we have is waste to energy incineration. The problem with waste to energy incineration, it's highly expensive, it produces a lot of contaminants, and it takes years to build, and nobody likes it, right? It gets public resistance everywhere it goes. Here's a really good example of what we're planning to do in Vietnam. So in Vietnam, the government's got $20 to $30 billion already in their budget for over the next 5 to 10 years to do waste to energy plants. The problem with it is centralized. There's always problems with waste to energy plants. They close down for 2 weeks, 4 weeks at a time. Obviously incredibly expensive, hundreds of millions to billions of dollars depending on the project, 5 to 8 years to build. And you've got toxic wastewater, you've got toxic emissions, and you've got toxic fly ash. So they convert waste to toxic fly ash at about a 20% rate, and all of that 20% ends up at landfill. So the types of conversations we're having now with government are about national infrastructure and national security. This is not small play stuff of setting up small little pilot programs anymore. This is about how do we actually transform the infrastructure and national security of a country. So Vietnam, for example, imports $380 million every year of carbon black to supply the car tire industry. And they've got a big problem with ecotourism and showing that they're doing the right thing in all of their beautiful islands that they have across the nation. So enter the phase 3 system that we are. A decentralized, scalable, modular system. It doesn't matter if one goes down, there's another 99 to take its place. Operational within 3 to 4 months instead of years. No sorting required. And we actually produce a commodity that the country needs, reducing their trade deficit by $380 million, also committing to creating jobs in Vietnam by manufacturing our machines there, instead of them importing waste to energy from China. And we don't want to import our machines from China, even though we do make them there, right? So committing 4,000 to 5,000 new jobs to the Vietnam economy, as well as coming up with a solution for their island economy, which they value just as much as the mainland. It costs the government $75 a tonne just to ship the waste on islands to the mainland for processing, right? So our model is, we don't ask the government for any money. Don't give us a dollar. We will pay for all of the machineries. We've got financiers that will back us against government contracts for every single region that we go into. So instead of them spending tens of billions of dollars, that now goes as a budget surplus for them. So this is very political as well, right? There's a lot of political incentive to do this. Here's a very simple example of Malta. So we just did a proposal there to the Maltese government. They had passed the parliament 600 million euro to build a waste to energy plant that does 180,000 tonnes per annum. I can do the same thing with 5 to 6 machines that cost me $5 or $6 million. So I'm not going to bother asking them for $5 to $6 million. We'll fund it ourselves. All they need to do is enter into a waste processing contract for 10 years minimum. I'll get the financing in place. And one price, one process, immediate impact that allows us to scale very quickly. Landfill mining. Landfill mining is a term that we've come up with. Most people understand what a mine does. It has an in-ground resource, right? It has mining equipment, and it produces a commodity. We're almost the same thing, right? So we are just as much a commodity business as we are a recycling business. We take landfills, we process it just like a mining company would mine their resource, and we produce a commodity at the back end, which is carbon black. We convert carbon black at about a 20% ratio. So for every ton, so every 10 tons, we produce 2 tons of carbon black. Depending on the feedstock, we can produce a lot more than that. So car tires are a great one. They produce a 90% rate to carbon black because every car tire in the world already contains 3 kilograms of carbon black. It's a very much in-demand commodity. China, we've got a great opportunity there. One of the regional provinces in China has agreed to give us 4 landfills to remediate on a live demonstration on the ground in China. What that means is 280 million tons of waste, $8.4 billion of waste processing fees collected, another $8 billion of carbon credits, and another $40 to $50 billion of carbon black sales over the course of that landfill mining operation. Carbon black is a market ready for disruption. To make 1 ton of carbon black, use the furnace method, right? Now that is, to make 1 ton of carbon black, you need 1.5 tons of oil. There is always a price floor in the price of carbon black because it's determined by the price of oil. It also, for every ton produced, you emit 2 to 3 tons of CO2 into the atmosphere. So simply by the car tire industry alone, purchasing sustainable carbon black from us would be the equivalent of us pulling 7 million cars off the road. There are also many ways that we can expand into carbon black. You've got conductive carbon black, specialty carbon blacks, and then carbon graphene. We have a new process for that, which is hugely exciting, potentially going into a $1 trillion market. It's a replacement to lithium. Here's a real-life example of a waste transfer station in Sydney. Now, this waste transfer in Sydney has already given us a formal offer for $2 million US. The kicker is they want to take the master license for Australia, which I'm not really that happy about. So that is my backup option, right? If we don't raise the capital over the next couple of weeks, we will take this option. Now, I'd rather keep them as a client. Here's the fundamentals. 500,000 tonnes per annum at $200 a tonne with annual increases over a 10-year contract. That's $100 million of waste processing fees, another $25 million of carbon credits, and carbon black sales, $125 million for a total annual revenue at $250 million. And what's your gross margin, Brad? 95%. They pay for the electricity, they pay for the amenities, they pay for everything, and we just install on their site. The areas in red are the areas that we will operate ourselves because that's the world's largest consumers of carbon black, and we're already in discussions in the areas in orange for a licensee model. I've been consulting with some of the world's best franchising experts about this. They're very excited. They've guided me a lot in this journey. It's incredibly profitable under the licensee model. And I'm also very blessed. Obviously, with any business, the most important thing is the team. And we've got one of the world's best, professors of physical chemistry. He's also here today. He's my business partner. I'm very honored to be in business with him. My job is to bring the best caliber of people all over the planet, which I'm very well suited to do as well, given my experience. The valuation is $35 million. It's for $3.5 million US. That's for 10% of the company. It's 100,000 buy-in. It is ESIC compliant. So even though Labor changed the rules to abolish the concessions for CGT, you get 10 years capital gains tax-free, and you get a 20% rebate come July if you invest this financial year. That's us. Thank you.